Yeah, I'm looking at you. The guy who walks into a meeting, thinks he's all cool, using all these interesting buzzwords, REST API, machine learning, agile, serverless. Come on, man. Gotta be real, all right? Don't go into a meeting and talk about things that you've heard about, things you're not knowledgeable about. Again, this goes back to the point of, you need to be seen as a trusted advisor, as a solution architect. You need to know, what is real as opposed to what is not real. The matrix, right? What's real? No, but seriously, like, you need to be able to articulate things. If you, as a solution architect, when you get into a room with someone and they talk to you about concepts, about programming things, or technical, or architecture, or whatever it is, you need to be on level, right? I've seen people walk into rooms and say, oh, we've got RESTful APIs and this and that. And they're like, well, can it return the data in a XML format or CSV? They're like, oh, but it's a REST API. It returns JSON. Well, no, a REST API can return any kind of data. It doesn't matter what format it's in. For those of you who are not familiar with what a REST API, and you're watching this video, I would encourage you to hit pause right now and go and Google Roy Fielding and read his dissertation on, forget what exactly it's called, distributed networks or something. That's basically Roy Fielding is considered the father of REST APIs. So, that's the number one buzzword that I just hear all the time. People throwing around like they don't know what it is. Yeah, they know what an API is, but what's a RESTful API? The fact that it's stateless. I'm not going to, the point of this video is not to go into like explaining these terms, just to I don't know, make fun a little bit of people that use these terminologies in the wrong ways. REST API, oh, it returns JSON. That one cracked me up when I heard it. I was like, are you serious, bro? Yeah. The second most common buzzword I hear all the time is serverless. So, serverless has been around for a while, but people, past couple of years have been thinking, oh, serverless is the new hot thing, because AWS came out with Lambda and then Azure followed with their functions or whatever they call it. Sorry, no disrespect to Microsoft people. I'm just more of an AWS guy. Serverless is not what a lot of people think it is. Yes, you don't necessarily have to deal with the underlying infrastructure and the OS and a lot of that stuff, but it's not like you can just oh, it's serverless, it's in the cloud, I can just slam it and get back as much as I want, no performance hits, no nothing. If you're going to hit a Lambda function and you're not architecting your solution correctly, it's going to blow up in your face. There's all sorts of things you can't have it running for more than 5 minutes. There's a certain, threshold of memory, of RAM that your application can execute. So, just because it's serverless doesn't necessarily mean that, you got the whole caboodle and you can just do whatever you want and post as many transactions per second as you want. No. There's a reason why not everybody can make a Netflix where they can handle billions of transactions per second. You try and throw that into Lambda, that's just going to blow up into your face. So 2 is serverless. People just throw around the term, serverless architecture. So I personally love serverless. Serverless is the way to go in my opinion. But you can't just, again, to the point, you can't just go and throw around terms without fundamentally understanding that all serverless really does is add a layer of abstraction, right? Instead of you having to deal with the OS and the firmware and everything, underlying, you just run your code. But there's still servers involved, there's still networks involved, there's still firewalls involved, there's still all these things that you normally deal with. It just, whatever your cloud provider is, AWS or Azure, they're just abstracting that for you. It's just an extra layer of abstraction, and they charge you for it, right? It costs more money than if you were to stand up, your own EC2 or your own server, right? That's the second one. The third one, I love this one, agile, right? You walk into a room and, people are like, oh, so, what's so cool about your product? Oh, we have an agile product. What? You don't have an agile product. You develop it in an agile fashion and your teams use Scrum and agile methodologies, but the word agile is just thrown around so much. It's probably right up there with REST APIs. Just the one-liner of the REST API, Agile, go type into Google again, pause now, type into Google the Agile Manifesto. That's where that came from. Agile is basically about, taking a product from an MVP as quickly as you can get it out the door and being able to develop and iterate over it based off of feedback and changes, stuff like that. So if like you release like a website or a web app or whatever it is, you release it at the absolute bare minimum, what you kind of need, like even just one freaking feature, right? And you see how the market reacts. You see how your users react, and then based off of that, you then go and you iterate over that. And that's kind of the whole concept of sprints. Why there's 1-2 week sprints. You 2 week sprint, you put a feature or two, a couple features inside, and then you see how that does. Based off of that, you come back, your retrospection, you come back, you see how things are going, and you iterate over that. It's a very iterative process. That's what Agile means. It's more of a development methodology. It just kills me how people just throw it around like that. So anyways, this was my video. I just wanted to kind of put together something about, somebody mentioned in one of the comments in a previous video that people are just throwing buzzwords all around, all over without really knowing what they mean. And these are just a couple examples that, I've noticed, just walking around, talking to people, being in meetings and stuff, just hearing what people, just spew, to be honest. All right, thanks for watching. And if you guys keep, watching this stuff, I'll keep making videos. I don't mind. This is actually kind of fun. So, until next time, guys. Bye-bye.